Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're unpacking a really pivotal, but honestly pretty misunderstood sequence in John Bunyan's classic The Pilgrim's Progress. We're dropping right into a massive turning point. Imagine you're our protagonist, Christian. You've been walking this incredibly long road, completely exhausted, and you've literally been lugging around this massive, crushing weight on your back since page 1 of the book. Well, we're going to look at the exact second that heavy burden is finally lifted, and even more importantly, what happens immediately after. Now, if you know the story, or even just the theology behind it, it's super tempting to hear a phrase like, the hard part is the guilt, and once that's gone, you're fine, and just kind of nod along, right? There's this really common, easy reading of the story that assumes Christian's journey basically wraps up the second his past is forgiven and his burden falls off at the cross. I mean, it's a totally natural place to expect a happily ever after. And Bunyan? He knows this. He absolutely knows we want the story to end right there with that huge sigh of relief.
But Bunyan just shatters that illusion right out of the gate. His big point is this: relief is a moment, but endurance is what the road actually asks of you. The entire core thesis of Bunyan's work in this section is that true conversion and forgiveness are definitely not the end of the journey. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they are the starting gun for a lifelong call for alertness. It's not just this fleeting moment where you say, phew, glad that's over. No, it's the preparation for the actual climb.
So, let's look at section 1, the climax that isn't, focusing on the burden at the cross. Here's the scene. Christian is running up this walled path called salvation, and he gets to a rise with a cross on it and a tomb right below. The literal millisecond he reaches that cross, his physical burden just miraculously loosens, rolls right off his back, and tumbles into the tomb, gone forever. He is completely stunned. We're talking laughing, weeping, totally blown away that just standing in front of this cross did what absolutely nothing else could do. Then these 3 shining figures appear, and they hand our joyful traveler some very specific gifts. First, his past sins are officially declared forgiven. Huge. Second, they strip away his old ratty clothes and put him in brand new garments. Third, they put a mark on his forehead and hand him a sealed roll. Now this roll is absolutely crucial. He's told he needs to read it as he travels and present it at the celestial gate at the very end of his journey. So Christian leaps for joy, he's singing as he walks. It's just this beautiful, perfect moment of grace. The burden is completely gone.
Which brings us to section 2, the shortcuts of others and refusing to take real danger seriously.
Because almost immediately, reality sets back in. Just past the cross, Christian runs into some guys who are basically the poster children for taking the easy way out. First, he spots simple sloth and presumption. They're literally sleeping in shackles and just brush off his warnings like it's nothing. But then he meets formalist and hypocrisy. These two represent religion that's practiced purely out of custom and convenience. Instead of walking through the actual legitimate gate to get on the path, they just hop right over the wall. And when Christian calls them out on it, they just shrug and mock him. Their whole argument is basically, hey, a shortcut is perfectly fine. We broke a few rules, but we ended up on the exact same path as you, didn't we? But look at Christian's response. He took the gate. He's walking the path of genuine commitment and following the master's rule. He essentially tells them that just going through the motions and skipping the real commitment, yeah, that's going to get exposed in the end.
Moving right along to section 3 now, the cost of carelessness and climbing the hill called difficulty. So right after that incredible relief at the cross, the road suddenly pitches straight up into this massive, grueling incline called the hill difficulty. Now, Formalist and Hypocrisy, they take one look at that hill and veer off onto these easy-looking side paths, which, by the way, are literally named danger and destruction, so that goes about as well as you'd expect. But Christian commits to the narrow way. He is literally climbing straight up on his hands and knees. It's brutal. Near the top, completely wiped out, he finds a resting arbor. So he sits down, admires his shiny new clothes, reads his roll for a bit, and then gets a little too comfortable and dozes off until it's almost dark out. And this right here leads to a massive mistake: the lost roll. While he's sleeping, that sealed document he got at the cross slips right out of his hand. This roll represents his assurance. Notice it's not taken away as some kind of punishment, it's just misplaced through pure carelessness. But here's the catch. To get it back, he has to walk all the way back to the exact spot he lost it.
The tragic irony here is just agonizing. First off, he doesn't even realize the roll is missing until he's basically at the top of the hill and reaches for it to comfort himself. Imagine that feeling. He is sick with honest grief. Now, he's forced to turn around and backtrack all those hard-fought steps down the steep hill in the fading light, just kicking himself for taking a careless nap that ruined his peace of mind. When he finally finds the lost roll sitting exactly where he left it in the arbor, it becomes super clear. He didn't lose his salvation, he just lost his assurance of it because he wasn't paying attention. But man, the consequences are still really severe. Because he wasted all this time, he now has to turn back around and hike the rest of that steep, treacherous hill in pitch-black darkness. It's honestly a highly relatable moment, isn't it? Our own human carelessness constantly costs us precious time and peace of mind.
And that brings us to Section 4, the test of fear, timorous, mistrust, and the roaring lions.
So because of his little nap, Christian is now traveling at night. Suddenly, two guys, timorous and mistrust, come sprinting past him in the opposite direction, absolutely panicking. They scream that there are lions on the path ahead. But Christian pushes forward anyway, and sure enough, he spots them in a narrow passage. Real, roaring lions. And here's where Bunyan's allegory is just brilliant. The lions are chained, but you can't see the chains from a distance. So from afar, these trials look completely 100% fatal. Because it's dark and Christian can't see those chains, he just freezes. He's terrified, on the verge of turning back and inching his way off the path.
Just as he's about to totally give up, a porter named Watchful calls out to him. He says, "The lions are there to test faith, not to end it. Keep to the middle of the path and they can't reach you." This reassurance changes the whole game. The trials have limits, they were placed there specifically to test him, not to destroy him. So, shaking like a leaf, Christian walks right between those roaring lions, stays dead center on the path, and passes completely unharmed to the gate where he'll be judged by discretion for entry.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, the thematic reality, endurance over mere relief.
Bunyan isn't just throwing random obstacles at Christian to make the plot more exciting. This whole sequence is deeply anchored in scriptural themes. Take that nap in the arbor. This maps straight to Proverbs 6:6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. It's a very clear warning against comfortable, well-earned rest that slowly morphs into dangerous carelessness. Or look at Formalist and Hypocrisy. Their wall-climbing shortcut connects perfectly to John 10:1, framing them as thieves and robbers trying to bypass legitimate entry and real commitment. And then you have Watchful's incredible advice about the chain lions. That echoes Mark chapter 8, which is all about the true cost of following Christ and the tragedy of trading your journey away just because you get scared. The lions aren't there so you can avoid them. They are there so you can boldly walk past them. Mapping this out vividly illustrates exactly why Bunyan keeps interrupting Christian's beautiful post-cross relief with these harsh, terrifying trials.
Forgiveness absolutely settles the past, but the road ahead? That requires constant alertness. Bunyan goes completely out of his way here to correct this massive assumption that the hard part is over once the guilt is gone. Yes, the cross removed the burden instantly, but literally the very next things that happen are a steep, brutal hill, a highly regretful nap, and a terrifying night walk past roaring lions. You see, this isn't Bunyan trying to undercut the beauty of the cross. Far from it. It's him refusing to let us mistake relief for arrival. Think about it. The lost roll wasn't some fresh new burden. It was the exact same assurance, just temporarily misplaced due to inattention. And getting it back didn't cost him his salvation. It just cost him his own time and sorrow, proving that the relief at the cross wasn't the end of the work, it was the beginning of it. Which leaves us with this final provocative question to think about as we wrap up this explainer. Your past may be settled, but are you staying alert for the road still ahead of you? Are you taking naps in the arbor when you should be climbing? Or maybe you're letting the distant roar of chain lions push you off the narrow path. Christian's journey is this incredible reminder that while the heavy burden of guilt can absolutely be lifted in a singular moment, the long road of endurance demands our constant, unwavering attention. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer today, and I really hope this gives you a fresh perspective on the true cost of the journey.